and welcome to an Alex Ellis channel Christmas special. This video has been 18 months in the making, and so I'm really proud to finally present to you the ultimate lift tour of Wellington Regional Hospital. Now, before we begin, just a quick disclaimer. This tour will not only feature the public lifts, but also every single service lift that I have access to. However, in case you didn't know, I actually work at this hospital, so that allows me access to all of the service lifts that other lift filmers don't have access to. So just bear this fact in mind, that my job gives me access to certain lifts that the average person would not have access to. Anyway, let's take a look at the map that I've produced. So many of the lifts around the campus, especially the main public lifts, are actually colour coded. So I've replicated that in my map and I've made the colours for each lift the same. There's also a number of lifts on the campus that are not colour coded. So all of those are the dark red ones that you can see on the map, are the ones that don't have an official colour. And as we're looking at the map, keep an eye out for the yellow circle, as that will be what indicates which lift we are at. So we're going to begin the tour in the main hospital building. So this was built in the mid-2000s. I think they finished it about 2007. And first up are the orange lifts. This is a set of 3 Schindler traction lifts with FIMXB fixtures. Now, these are the main public lifts for the main hospital, with access to floors 1 through 7. Okay, the orange lifts. So these ones have got the generic indicator on the inside. So on all the other floors, they have normal indicators outside. FIMXB. So these are not MRLs, I believe these are machine room traction. Where are you going?
I'm going 5.
Lift stopping to level 5.
The voice unit still functions in this one as well, which is good. You can see there's a Schindler logo there as well. Here we are at 1.
Lift stopping to level 1.
Next we go to the green lifts. This is another set of Schindler traction lifts, a set of 2. These only offer public access to floors 1, 2 and 3, with all the floors above 3 requiring swipe card access. The green lifts. Is this the one with the faulty panel? No. So these lifts are open to the public on 1, 2 and 3, but anything from 4 upwards needs a swipe card. I think those doors are only used on 3. I think everything else uses this side. Here we are back at 1. There it goes. Excellent. And our next stop is the red lifts. So these are the final public lifts of the main hospital. There are another set of Schindler traction lifts. Now these are fully unlocked, but they only go as high as level 4. Okay, red lifts. No swipe card needed here. There's the on the left. No swipe card needed in these. So these are the ones that only go up to 4. We are at 4. So most floors uses these doors. The other set of doors at the back are only used on level 1. And here we are at level 1. Okay, so now let's go to our first service lifts, which are the silver lifts. Now, at first glance, it looks like a set of 4 lifts. It's actually not. It's 2 sets of 2. The big lifts and the small lifts are on separate controllers. Now, both lifts serve floors 1 through 7. However, the small lifts serve level 8, but not level 9. And the big lifts do serve level 9, but they don't stop at 8. Now, despite these lifts not being public lifts, they're actually some of the busiest in the hospital because they transfer a lot of patients in here. The staff use them all the time. They transfer beds in these lifts all the time as well. They're the main bed lifts. There's also strict rules around these lifts which dictate that if there is a patient in transfer or a patient on a bed needing to be moved, they always take priority. And if the lift stops and there's a bed waiting to get in the lift, staff have to get out and wait for another lift because the patients always have priority. All of the floors in these lifts are locked, so it's swipe card access only. So let's ride both sets of lifts. Come on. That one's obviously not working.
Oh, sorry.
It's alright, my pass wasn't bloody working on that one.
Le stopping level 7.
After you.
Thank you.
Might stop on the way down. If it does, it does. So these are the smaller silver lifts. So the 2 lifts are 2 sets of 2. It's not 1 set of 4. The small lifts and the big lifts are on separate controllers.
Le stopping
Oh,
level
okay, we'll get
2.
out here. This is one of the big ones. Now these lifts are easily the busiest in the entire hospital, but you never know, we might get lucky. We have to be careful with these because if they need to get a patient in here, then I have to get out. That's the rules with these lifts. Well, it looks like we're having no problems getting up. Now I know that the 2 button doesn't work on this side, so I'll go to this side for it. No, it's that one that doesn't work actually. So as I was saying before, these big lifts work on a separate controller from the small ones. And like I said before, they're also a lot busier. You'll notice that they stop at different floors. So the small lifts stop at 8, but not 9. These lifts skip level 8 and go straight to 9. So now we're going to head over to the new children's hospital. So they've been building a brand new children's hospital to replace the old one. The building has just recently been completed and opened to the public. The lifts are some brand new Schindler lifts with linear 300 fixtures. Now, the lifts serve levels 2, 3 and 4. However, level 4 is not open yet. They haven't actually finished completing the interior on level 4, so we can only ride the lifts between levels 2 and 3 at the moment. So level 4 will come later once the 4th floor is open. The 3 lifts they operate as a set of 3, but they're not quite the same. So the 3 lifts have different coloured interiors. So there's the red and blue ones on the left and centre, which are just single door lifts, and then we have the brown lift on the right, which actually has a set of rear doors that the other 2 don't have. These are to serve the after hours entry and exit on level 2, but it's still part of the same set of 3 lifts and runs on the same controller. The new children's hospital building. So the 4th floor isn't finished yet, which is why we can only go to 3 at the moment. The cabins look lovely though, don't they? They're like this on every floor as well. Now what's interesting, these 2 lifts here are both twin door, but you can't get around there from here. This one is a twin door and only this one. Hoping it'll call that one, but it might not. No, it hasn't. There's a red cabin in this one. Linear 300 in black. And around here you can see the back of this one. So this is the only lift that has rear doors. This is because this one is designated the after hours lift. And we have brown walls in this one. Yeah. So I believe level 3 and possibly level 4 only opens on that side. Oh, okay. It's actually locked. But fortunately, because I work here, I can activate it. So eventually we will be able to ride these all the way up to level 4 next year. But at the moment, level 4 is not finished yet, so that is still being done. That's why the old children's hospital is still open at the moment. But level 2 and 3 are finished, so these are open. That's opening next year, and once that opens, then you'll be able to take the lifts up to the top. Okay, so heading back through the main hospital, the emergency department building doesn't have any lifts, so we move into the clinical services block. So we're now getting into the old buildings of the hospital from the 60s and 70s. Now, this building, clinical services block, is home to the infamous purple lifts. Now, you may know that Wellington Hospital currently has a long-term plan that they will be replacing most of the lifts in the old buildings of the hospital over the next 5 to 10 years. Most or all of the lifts will be replaced, and the purple lifts are first. So the purple lifts were originally some old Otis lifts from the late 60s or early 70s. They'd been modernised by Otis with new fixtures. They were set up, I think they were probably originally designed to be 2 sets of 2 lifts, and then when they were modernised they were converted to 1 set of 4, because the 2 lifts on the left only had 1 set of doors, but the lifts on the right had 2 sets of doors. But I don't think the rear doors were actually being used anymore. Now they're actually currently replacing these lifts with brand new Schindler 7000s. Interestingly enough, you'll notice, because the 2 lifts on the right have been replaced first, and the rear doors have not been retained, so evidently they're not being used anymore. The 2 lifts on the left aren't finished yet. But anyway, we'll start first of all with a little look at the lifts before they were replaced. So this is one of the lifts on the right. It's got the rear doors. So only cars 3 and 4 have the rear door. The other cars are single door only. Come on, get in focus. So you can see we've got 2 floor indicators. They're already preparing to start upgrades, modernisation or replacement. You can actually see the bottom of car 4 there, which has been dead for the last few years. We'll try and get a single door car on the way down. So in the left car, you can see that the 2 left-hand cars are only single door. Hope to God we don't stop. We might stop at 3, that's the only... Yeah, we're stopping. Did you want 3?
Just the main.
Yeah, the exit. Yeah, you want 3.
Yeah, thank you.
Here you go. That was unfortunate, but these lifts are super busy. Like, these lifts are always in use, so that was always going to happen. It's constant. Epic. So now that we've seen the old purple lifts, now let's take a look at the new purple lifts, which are the brand new Schindler 7000s. Here we go. First ride in the new purple lifts. This is awesome. Oh wow. Wow, this is so smooth. Bloody hell, these are quick. My God, these are some of the smoothest lifts I've ever been in. Whoa. Look at that, they've actually got motion sensors there. Ready? D series /FIGS 700. No rear doors anymore. These used to be 2-door lifts, now they're only single door. Okay, so that was the new Schindler 7000s, and take note of what those lifts looked like, because in the coming years you'll probably be seeing a lot of the other old lifts that I'm about to show you gradually start being replaced with Schindler 7000s very similar to those. So keep that in mind. Anyway, we're going to now look at the CSB building service lifts. These are still old Otis lifts. It's a set of 2 lifts. Now, these, much like the purple lifts, have had a bit of an upgrade by Otis. They have had the buttons replaced. However, they kept the original floor indicators on these ones. And also, despite being service lifts, there's no swipe card required. They're fully unlocked. So these are the sister lifts to the purple lifts, the rear staff lifts. I'm pretty sure 13 is locked. So these are very similar to the purple lifts. Same sort of interior. They've also had the button replacement. As you can see, they're bloody quick. But you'll notice the original indicators are still here. No door close button. So these lifts would have been installed in the 1960s, and yep, you can see how high the roof actually is. So yeah, these lifts are actually from the 1960s, but they have been modernised. Shite, we're stopping. So next we go to the old children's block. Now, because the top floor of the new children's hospital isn't finished yet, the old children's hospital is still open at the time of recording. Now, the building is going to be retained after the children's hospital has fully relocated. The building will be extensively renovated and they'll find a new purpose for that building. So I very much doubt that the lift that's in it will survive. But the lift in question is an Otis Lexan hydraulic lift, still pretty much completely original. Takes a minute to get going. It's hydraulic. This is the old lift for the old children's hospital, which will be closing at some point to make way, well, once the new hospital opens. It's an original Otis Lexan. The cab has I would say probably not original, probably has been redecorated at some point since the 70s or early 80s, whenever this was built. I think this one might be an 80s Lexan actually, but you never know, it could be original because these handrails look pretty old, but we'll see. The buttons are a bit worse for wear. Level 2 is locked. So next we're going to move on to the ward support block. Now this is home to the much loved blue lifts. So these are some really epic 1970s Otis high-speed traction lifts with really nice touch sensitive buttons. Not in as good a condition as they used to be. Only 2 of the 4 lifts actually work. The 2 lifts on the left have been deactivated for the last couple of years. I believe they actually have decommissioned them so that they can use them as spare basically to provide spare parts to keep the other 2 lifts going. So, but as has been mentioned, the lifts at this hospital are all being upgraded, so these will almost certainly be replaced within the next couple of years. But let's take a ride of the epic blue lifts while we still can. Broken ones and the functioning ones. A lot of the numbers don't work. Only cars 3 and 4 actually work. We can try going back to 2, but if it does stop on 3, then we'll just have to get out there. So these lifts are from the 1970s, completely original Otis. You can see here where they originally had letters for floors, and then they've had these stickers put over the top when they converted them to numbers. Okay, now we'll take it back to 3, just up 1 floor. Don't know how the indicator has been with numbers though. So directly behind the blue lifts are the 3 ward support block service lifts. Now these 3 lifts actually run on individual controllers, which is not that well set up, if you ask me. These lifts serve floors 2 through 11. However, the lift on the left also serves floors 1 and 12. These are also fully unlocked, just like the CSB building freight lifts as well. So these are the freight lifts. Now what you'll see with these is that these are all on individual controllers. So they look like a set of 3 lifts, but they actually all run independently. Massive lifts. So we cannot go to floor 12 in this lift. We can only go up as high as floor 11. This is the only car serving 1, and I think it's the only car serving 12. I think the other 2 cars only serve 2 through 11. These lifts, you'll see, are a bit different from the passenger lifts. These ones are a bit slower in terms of their speed. They also, unlike the passenger lifts that have touch sensitive buttons, these are just normal Lexan. This way. Okay, getting in one of the other two freight lifts now, and as you can see, this is one of the other cars. This one and that one are a little bit smaller, and like I say, these two cars only serve floors 2 through 11, so only the car on the left serves 1 and 12, but they're locked. So you can't actually go to those floors. And I believe that this one and the other car that serves the same floors are a little bit smaller than the one serving 12 floors, but the speed appears to be the same. Here we go. So, next to the wall support block is the Otago University building. Now, this building's actually been closed for well over a year, as the whole building has been declared an earthquake risk, so they've got to strengthen the building, so they can't use it at the moment. I very much doubt that the lifts are going to survive. The building's not going to be reopened for quite some time, so they'll probably upgrade the lifts. The lifts are some old lifts, the make of which is debated. Some people think they're Otis, some people think they're Express, so I'm not going to say, I'm not going to choose either one. I'll leave it up to you to decide. But these were modernised probably around the early 2000s with Kone Delta fixtures. Now, an interesting fact about Wellington Hospital is that it actually used to have floor letters rather than floor numbers. They used to use, A, B, C, D, E, F to label the floors. And then at some point they changed it to numbers. And this is actually the only building on the campus that still uses the old letter floor numbering system rather than the modern numbers that they use in all the other buildings, which is an interesting fact. Anyway, as this building has been closed for over a year, obviously I wasn't able to refilm these lifts, so we're going to have to make do with an old video of these lifts that I filmed several years ago. Okay, so highest we can go to is J. Not sure who made these, they're either Express or Otis. This is actually the University of Otago block next to Wellington Hospital. So it's in Wellington, but it's University of Otago. I've always wanted to come and see what they have here, and now I know. Can we go to B? No. Right, well, we'll go back to floor D. I don't want to go to C because there's a reception desk there. So, here's your capacity. Here we are at D. There it goes. Next we go to the white lift. Now, a lot of people have probably never heard of the white lift. So this is actually in a building called Te Whare o Matairangi. This is actually the mental health ward. Now, this can only be reached by going up to level 5 of the ward support block and then walking down this very long series of corridors to get to that building. If it wasn't for the fact that the department I work in actually has a storeroom in that corridor about 20 metres from where the lift is, I probably would have never found it. So there's a bit of luck. Anyway, the lift is an old pre-Lexan Otis lift, and it is still more or less original. green. The floor numbering doesn't quite match the sign outside. I'm not sure that indicator works at all, actually. They've actually handwritten it on in pen here. Back down to B/ground. Oh, the one does light up. I very much doubt these cab walls are original. Well, you never know, they might be. The handrails are all missing. Okay, so now we're coming on to our last building, which is the Grace Neill block. There are actually two lifts here that are not shown on the map. One is an old Otis freight lift that went between levels 2 and 3 only, but that was decommissioned and boarded up a few years ago and I never ever filmed it. So this is the site of the old freight lift, just next door to the yellow lifts. The service lifts in GMB building don't come down to level 2. This was just a singular, I think probably hydraulic freight lift that just ran between 2 and 3. But it's been boarded up for years. The call buttons are still here. That's actually pressed in. That's absolutely shot. Looks like the spring's broken in there. But yeah, I've always wondered whether the lift is secretly still there behind the walls or whether it's just completely gone forever and whether it's already been removed. Would be interesting to know. There's also a small pre-Lexan Otis hidden in this building, but in all the time that I've worked at this hospital and all the time I've known about that lift, I've never actually seen it working. So I'm wondering if that lift might have actually been decommissioned or something, because it never appears to be working. So, but there are two sets of lifts in this building that we can ride. The first is the yellow lifts, which are the main public lifts for this building. These are some more old Otis lifts, but these have been modernised, originally by Kone, with KDS 300 AUS fixtures. However, the inside buttons have actually been replaced again, not sure who did it, probably Schindler, to a type of button that I've never actually seen before, so I don't know what make the buttons are. A number of the call buttons have also been changed to KDS 50 as well. So these buttons have been replaced since the last time I saw them. So these used to be KDS 300 AUS. Evidently Schindler have done something to them. No idea what kind of buttons they are though, I've never seen them before. The outside buttons have been changed with Kone buttons too. So these are the yellow lifts in the Grace Neill building.
Going down.
So these are Otis lifts from the 70s, but very heavily modernised. That's where the original indicator would have been. Got capacity information up there as well. 1814 kg or 26 persons.
Second floor. Going up.
Original call button here. So there we go, and that's it. And our final lifts today are the main service lifts for the Grace Neill block, which are some original Otis Lexan lifts. This is probably more or less what the yellow lifts would have looked like when they were originally installed, I'm guessing. These lifts do not serve level 2 though, which is probably why they had that other hydraulic freight lift there that got decommissioned. Because they've decommissioned it, I guess they'd have to move the freight in the yellow lifts now. But there we go. So these are the service lifts in the Grace Neill block. Unlike the main lifts, these ones do not go down to level 2.
Yeah, I just feel like there's a silly thing
I'm hoping we won't stop. I don't think these lifts are normally that busy, so... These are nice original Otis Lexans. Fully functioning indicator as well, which is good. Both lifts have just gone. Here we go.